A couple years ago there was a popular show on HBO called Band of Brothers, and they did these interviews with these soldiers from Easy Company in World War II, and they used to talk about the Battle of the Bulge in Bastogne, Belgium. Where they were all stuck out there in the frozen, freezing mud in the forest for like weeks, and it was just so much, and people were dying, and they're all freezing to death, and it was just such extreme suffering that the soldiers said to this day, these World War II survivors, these great men, they would say, even, now in my life, I sit outside on a cold night and I think to myself, thank God I'm not in Bastogne. Well, for the rest of my life, whenever I'm watching a low scoring football game, I'm going to say to myself, thank God I'm not watching Arlington versus Birmingham on April 11th, 2025, UFL Friday night. You are now tuned in to United Football Media's Tell Me About It. And we got a hell of a Sunday of football to tell you about this week. Both the games today, tremendous. Sunday, April 13th. Two fantastic games today. Earlier on today, San Antonio Brahmas, Michigan Panthers, and just freshly coming off, we're going to have ourselves some fun on the DC Defenders show this week. Me and Tay. I'll just say that. We're going to have a good old time on Friday. Hell of a game. Probably the best game of the year. We had back-to-back contenders for the best game of the year between the Michigan Panthers, San Antonio Brahmas, directly followed by St. Louis Battlehawks, DC Defenders. Both games very competitive. A lot of big hits. A lot of big plays. A lot of great stuff going on. I think we'll start off with a game that we called in the United Football Media probably the best rivalry in spring football. DC Defenders, St. Louis Battlehawks. They lived up to the billing. Like I said, a bunch of huge hits, big plays back and forth. It was an offensive track meet in the first half and then switched over into a defensive battle in the second half where both squads were tightening up. So you got a tale of two different games, just a ton of intensity, stayed tight throughout it. Man, it was a beautiful thing. Over there on DC Defenders show, we were pretty hard on our guy Jordan Tiamu this week, and things started off looking like it might go the same way. But I must say, in the second half, especially, it was the receivers failing Tiamu and not the other way around. Now, to be fair, Tiamu did miss a big wide open touchdown pass in the first half, but in the second half, there was many plays that were left there for the receivers to make, and they dropped it or didn't get to it. So, there's that. But the defense came through, putting pressure on Manny Wilkins the whole time. It was a defensive show. Tiamu still ended up with 3 touchdowns. Your guy Deion Jackson there, Tay, 6.8 yards per carry, looking good. Ty Scott could have had an even bigger game than he did have, but he ended up with 3 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. Some crucial turnovers in the second half. Closed the game out with an interception for the Defenders. 27-15 Defenders victory. It was a lot closer than that for most of the game. Lovely effort. Loved it. It's a big day. It's a big day for the Defenders, big day for the Defenders fans. Came in here, stood toe-to-toe, and at times looked dominant over the team that many had ranked near the top. Tate, what'd you think, man?
This was definitely a great game to watch. I seen this coming, though. I had a feeling the Battlehawks just wouldn't play their best game, and Defenders capitalized on it. Tiamu had 3 passing touchdowns, along with 2 picks. You don't love the completion percentage, but some of it wasn't his fault. But then you'll take the win. Abram Smith ran the ball 23 times.
Yes,
I thought that was crazy. He ran the ball 23 times. Yeah, and Deion Jackson, he got 8 carries himself. He was much more efficient. Ty Scott, he came through again for the defenders, and defenders are like the better team. They so far they've been the best team in the UFL. Now I don't know how long it'll last. Like I don't think they'll be undefeated or anything, but this is a good team. This is not the defenders team from last year. This is a playoff team to me. Said it before the season. I still believe in that. Defenders are a playoff team. Like 7-3, 8-2 is a reasonable record to me. They just I like the way they're playing football. Run the ball a lot, get pressure. It's a good recipe to win. So the defenders again with another big win.
Heck of a job too, our guy Blake Williams stepping in on short notice, vacate the spot that his dad left open, the defensive coordinator job. Did a fantastic job, called a fantastic game. He had that Battlehawks, especially in the first quarter, that Battlehawks, it looked like this was going to be a whooping at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And the Battlehawks kind of came back and refused to allow themselves to be in that situation. But, they forced a guy who we said was a cut above, who we said looked like, a different level of guy than everyone else in the league. He threw 3 interceptions, had a quarterback rating of 40 today. Mm-hmm. So that defense was all over him, all over this big time, this rushing attack that had been so vaunted, that had been so good outside of Manny Wilkins' scrambles had less than 20 yards. Manny Wilkins had 6 yards rushing outside of Manny Wilkins' scrambles. That's how this rushing attack that everybody loves so much, that dominated so much in the first few weeks, did little to nothing. Defensive masterclass. This new defensive coordinator stepping in, doing a great, great job. True thoughts on the game, man?
I think this is the DC Defenders team that we were kind of hoping last year to get. Just great resolve to kind of stick with their game plan in the second half. And, I know, like you said, Tiamu had his struggles, and he didn't necessarily have the greatest game, but he got it done. And their defense was amazing. I think the defenders, they have shocked me because they've had some tough games to start the year, and the tough opponents on paper, at least. And they've managed to come out with the victory. I still think the Battlehawks played a solid game, but when you got the top 2 teams, arguably, in the league, somebody got to lose. So I wouldn't take too much from this game to say anything negatively about the Battlehawks. Just get back at it.
Played a good team. Yeah,
get back at it. That's it. But kudos to the defenders. I don't really want to say too much positive about the defenders because I'm sure you guys are going to do that on Friday. That's all I'll say about the game.
Hey, there's no debate. There's nothing that can be said about the strength of schedule so far, because at various times people have put Birmingham and St. Louis as the number 1 team in the league, and the defenders have beat them both. So that's all you got to say about that. I don't know how we don't have the DC Defenders ranked number 1 on every power rankings coming out of this going forward. The other game I talked about, game of the year contender, San Antonio Brahmas against the Michigan Panthers. Michigan goes down, scores a late field goal in the closing seconds to pull ahead. A excellent back and forth game, a battle. Earlier on this week, the defenders weren't the only team dealing with a sudden departure of a coordinator. Earlier on this week, another ongoing story was Brahma's offensive coordinator, and kind of one of their main stories last year of how they were successful. AJ Smith left the program abruptly, and then this week, look at this, the offense emerges. There was a good soundbite on the sideline of their new offensive coordinator talking about, hey, we're just going to run the ball, just keep running it. They had 25 carries, 5 yards a carry between Anthony McFarland, Kellen Mond, John Levitt. Real good looking stuff. Kellen Mond had his best game by far since coming to the UFL. 19 of 31, 61% completion, 150 yards passing, a touchdown. Mond overall had nearly 200 total yards between 40 yards rushing, 150 yards passing. Brahmas looked spicy, looked competitive. did a lot of things good. Did not, it wasn't a situation where they kept getting caught out of position, where they looked like the Brahmas this week, that we expected to see at the beginning of the year. And it turned out it just was not quite enough. Bryce Perkins, despite the fact that he had no touchdown passes, but interception, he had 2 touchdown rushes, probably with his best game yet. He's got to have this job secured at this point. I mean, he has to. 74% completion, 200 yards passing. Again, no touchdowns. He had a pick, but he did have 30 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. So over 200 yards total offense. Looked big time. Jay Sheridan came into the league this week, got the start because of injuries, and he kind of went off. 7 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown. Loved what he brought to the squad. Offensive line looked better after that trade they made this week. Good for them. I didn't think that the trade of the wide receiver was that big of a deal, because I always thought Seose Mariner was their best receiver anyways, and he stepped up, got 5 catches for 54 yards, did a great job. Panthers get it done, gut it out. This was a big boy game, back and forth, body blows being landed by both squads. Absolutely loved it. The Brahmas, I don't know if it's, since the Renegades lost, maybe they're not completely dead in the water here just yet, looking ahead. So, it was a good look for them. Hopefully they can continue to recapture the form that they had last season. What'd you think of this one there, Tay?
Yeah, this is another great game. I feel like the first 2 weeks was a lot of blowouts, teams not scoring 10 points, but yeah, the Brahmas played a better game.
This week started off not looking so great either.
Yeah. But I mean, the Brahmas played a lot better. The defense is still questionable. Like, they're giving up a lot of points each week. Like, I think it's been about 25 plus every single week. They've been getting up a lot of points so far this season. But the offense played a lot better. That's kind of what they're gonna need. They're gonna need great offensive performances, because I guess the defense isn't good. It's been 3 weeks in a row where they're giving up a lot of points. That was really my biggest takeaway from the Brahmas performance. But this is by far their best game, because they scored more than 10 points. Kellen Mond played well. And one of their coaches left too. So, I mean, this is a good game. Just dealing with new things and whatnot. The Panthers, I expected this one. I didn't think it would be this close again, because just the Brahmas performances and whatnot. But Bryce Perkins, he's pretty good. I like how he controlled the game. He's a threat on the ground. Not a lot of yards, but just in the red zone, like, you have to take account for him. I think he's probably scored like almost every game on the ground. So the Panthers are a pretty good team. They're definitely one of the sleepers, like, just going forward in the season. So I expect the Panthers to continue.
If they continue to build, I'm picking them over Beham next time. We'll talk about this absolutely disgusting, shameful performance that they.
We're not there yet.
The vintage Renegades are back.
We're not there.
What'd you think of this one there, True? Brahmas, Panthers.
A Panthers game ending on a field goal. I mean, the more things change, the more they stay the same, I guess. Like they said, a better performance on offense from the Brahmas, which is, I mean, not saying much if you lose. Really good performance from the Panthers overall. Panthers did good. I was excited to watch the end of the game, and that's what you need for this league, because the Renegades and Stallions game didn't really do it. The Showboats and Roughnecks game will. I'm happy about the result. I'm happy about that result, but we'll get to that in a second. It's just you need those games where it comes down to the wire, where both teams are giving it their all. And even though the Brahmas don't look great, I think this was their strongest performance overall so far this year. But also, the defense is really disappointing me, because I was expecting a lot more from their defense than I'm seeing. And I don't know, what is the issue exactly. I thought schedule-wise, they kind of had a little bit of like, at least where I ranked them, and they don't live up to where I ranked them, so I'm disappointed in that. But I mean, the Panthers, they look good, and I'm anxious to see how they do the rest of the way, because I don't want to call them a sleeper, but I feel like they could be a sleeper. Just the way the schedule's playing out, they could become a sleeper team, and they could surprise everybody this year. So they could be like the Brahmas, how the Brahmas kind of were last year, basically. So
if Perkins continues to develop, man, he could be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's already looking to cut above out there when they're playing amongst the defensive players. So hopefully he continues to develop and they continue to give him the chance to. Speaking of people who had damn well better have the dang quarterback job secured, Nolan Henderson comes in for the Roughnecks, goes 10 for 11 for 80 yards and a touchdown, 3 carries, 15 yards. All of a sudden, this Roughnecks offense comes to life in the second half of the third quarter, part of the fourth. Zaquandre Wright is a guy who's doing everything for them. Justin Hall had a good performance. Didn't see much of Marcus. He had 3 catches, just didn't get much yards. The Roughnecks come back in the second half. It looked like it was another hapless Anthony Brown, ponderous, excruciating performance in the first half. Only 3 points. Nolan Henderson comes in the second half and goes gangbusters. I'm sure we'll be hearing from CJ Johnson. The CJ Johnson. Never. Say something crazy. You can kill the man, but you can't kill the idea. I'm sure we'll be hearing from CJ Johnson anytime this week that, somehow, some way, Anthony Brown is still the starter. They're like, now we got him right where we want him. We rope-a-dope him to sleep with Anthony Brown in the first half and then bring in Nolan Henderson off the bench and light things up on fire. The other team doesn't know. They'll never see it coming. Maybe that's a little Trojan horse action with CJ Johnson. He's actually the best and smartest coach in the league. That's what's actually going on. And you guys just aren't smart enough to get to that level to see through your third eye of coaching to understand what level CJ Johnson is operating on right now. Roughnecks get the win. Lovely piece of business. Of course, True, I know, is happy about the result. Tay, what'd you see, man?
I seen the Roughnecks play. They played a solid game. They scored a 12 third quarter points. That's more than some of their games. So that's a props to them right there. Nolan Henderson came in and he changed the game. He impacted the game like really better than anyone else in the field. He was definitely the best player. He got them their first win. I don't remember the last time the Roughnecks won, like even back to last year. So this is definitely a good one for the Roughnecks to build on. Kind of surprised that the Showboats did not win this. They had multiple opportunity. EJ Perry turning the ball over. I feel like we were just praising him last week, but I don't know. This the exact opposite happened. I think he should still start. I don't think there's a better option. Maybe, but yeah, I don't know. The Showboats said they might be that team this year. Like,
the Arlington Renegades of this year. Yeah,
exactly. They're gonna play good.
True is like, this is even better. It's even better than them getting whooped, them losing this match.
Yeah, this seems like the Showboats are gonna be that team this year. Always in the game, but never enough to win it, no matter who they play. So it just sucks. They can't close out a game. Like, honestly, they're losing these one possession games. So Roughnecks get the first win. So congratulations.
True thoughts on the game.
Christmas comes once a year, and so does a Roughnecks win, and it's even sweeter when it's over the Showboats. And I just want all of you Showboats fans, all 12 of you, to understand that your team is going nowhere, and it's okay. It's all right. It could be worse. Well, not really. It probably could be worse, but I mean, they could be losing these games by 20. If you'd have lost to the Roughnecks by like 20 points, you
That
would have
would be
probably,
worse. Yeah.
that would be worse. And I was kind of hoping that happened, but I was like, it's the Roughnecks. They're gonna barely win, and then we're gonna all have like I saw all the news people like, oh man, the Roughnecks won, and this team could they be turning things around? Like it's their first win in their last like 9 games. Like let's like
Let's be
chill. Like
careful. Let's be
let us
careful.
calm down. Like let's calm down. Like a good performance over some stank is not like oh that's a completely turning your season around. Let's see if you can do that again, or at least be competitive in your next game, and then you can build on that. The Showboats, they do have some stuff there where I'm like, okay, they're start slowly building up, something a little bit, but they just can't get it done. Them being the Renegades of this year, after being the left cheek versus the right cheek last year, it's beautiful to me. I love this, and I want to, the hatred inside of me for the Showboats, not even really strong, but I just want to see them continue to lose and continue to suffer. And send all your don't send. I'm gonna say send all your hate mail, Showboats fans, to me, but don't. I don't want to hear anything you got to say. Don't send anything to me. Just keep losing and losing gracefully. That was a graceful loss. That was a graceful loss. You didn't lose by like 2 touchdowns. You barely lost. So graceful loss.
Speaking of stank, I was questioning if I'm like the league is over. If it keeps on going like this, the viewership, this is done. This is all over. If things keep going the way this is going on Friday night, that was nasty work, as the kids say. Neither team could get anything going the entire game. Just rock fight the whole way through. The Renegades have the lead for the entire game and somehow manage. Ooh, this was a vintage Renegades performance right here. This was taking it back. I was having flashbacks to every memory of everything that was going on in my life. It was such a vintage Renegades way to lose the game on a flimsy false start call that wasn't called, and then it was called, and so it took an interception off the board, and then at the absolute last second, you give up a touchdown to lose the game. And then the game ends. The last play is a hot potato keep it alive play where Luis Perez is still mic'd up after the snap, and you can hear him screaming at the other players, get out of bounds, get out of bounds, get out of bounds. They're just ignoring him and tossing the ball around and fumble it and getting hit, and the game's over. The less said, the better. Birmingham, of course it has to be Birmingham. Birmingham, disgustingly, comes up with this just filthy win. Just the nastiest work imaginable. Tay, they had to have a elbow length gloves on for this one. Get this win. Ugh. Tay, what do you think, man?
That's why I got to give credit to the Stallions for just coming through. And at the end of the game,
that's the type of team that championship teams win. Teams with championship infrastructure win.
Yep. Yeah. So
totally,
they figured it out. I mean, the Renegades were up 9-0 at one point, and the Stallions just when they needed to do it, they did. Like Matt Crowell didn't play well. I mean, but it was enough. All you need is one drive. Both defenses played amazing games. I mean, like you can't just keep teams out of the end zone the whole game. Like I'll give credit to both defenses here. 9-10, that's always a defensive game, So yeah, I can't really say much about the Renegades.
Ain't much
defense. To say. I mean, I feel like you have to score as well. Like they did all they could. Like you go up early, but you have to continue to to apply the pressure, make it tough on a comeback. 9-0, it just wasn't enough. They lost by 1. This is how this team lost last year. I think those days are behind them. Like I don't see them losing a lot of these games, but this was definitely looked familiar for the Renegades. And you can't win them all. You're not going to win every close game. I still do think the Renegades are a good team, but it's just got to give credit where it's due. I mean, Stallions are a championship caliber team. They figured it out.
Oh, true.
Look, I don't really have much to say about the game. So I think the Renegades, they still have something.
Yeah.
The defensive effort was there. The Stallions, like you said, championship teams know how to win. And I don't know. I think the Stallions probably would like to build on that performance defensively, but they absolutely need to figure out some offense because their offense has not been jumping off the charts so far this season. So they definitely need to work on some, to me at least, I think they need to get their offense, figure out what their go-to is going to be because you're having close games like this. And when you have close games like this, I mean, the Renegades are used to close games like that and losing these games. So it's a familiar place for them. But for the Stallions, you want to be a little more decisive in your playmaking and your decision making, and you need to be that in order to, I mean, win another championship. And you got the DC Defenders and you got the Battlehawks. Now you got the Panthers looking like they might be something. So I mean, at least you ain't got to worry about the Showboats ever, but you still have to worry about, you know what I'm saying, like these other teams that are right there with you. And the DC Defenders, although last year didn't go that well for them, they are a well-oiled machine, and they have been before. So you got to worry about these other teams. And I mean, the Defenders already beat them. So I mean, you need to fix that before you get. I mean, we're heading into what, week 3? So or
Week
week
4.
4, week
Yeah.
4, yeah. Been to week 4, and so the season is almost halfway. We're almost halfway through. So you gotta get that together in order to be ready for the playoff. Because and if you make if you make it, so that's just very important for them. And I trust the Stallions because it's like we said, championship teams know how to get it done, but not a great showing, but enough to get a win. That's all you need. You get a W, and everything else don't matter.
I was asking people in the group chat. I said, "Man, is this Stallions thing over? Is this done?" Because they have not looked good all year, and they looked bad on Friday night. Should have lost this game, but Renegade's gonna renegade. Rolling into next week, the Friday night game hopefully will be a little more fun. Showboats headed to the Panthers. Showboats. I feel like we say this every single week about the poor Panthers, man.
Come on.
Going against a team that's fighting for their lives again. Like every week, it's like, oh, if this team loses, their team's pretty much over, and they're going against the Panthers. Panthers already put it on them once this year. I see no reason to think that that's going to be any different. Hopefully, we just get a little more entertaining game for the Friday night showcase. After everyone suffered through, it was like the Bastogne Battle of the Bulge suffering level of getting through that Renegades promised, that we collectively got through together. We'll all be brothers for life after that one. So hopefully it'll be a little more entertaining on Friday night. Panthers over Boats is where I'm going, pretty obviously. What do you think they're taking? Is EJ Perry going to save the season, or are we getting ready to build towards next year once again?
Yeah, build towards next year. They'll play a good game, or they'll be in the game. I'll say that. I don't know if they'll play a good game. They'll be
EJ
in the
Perry
game.
revenge game, bro.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I got the Panthers 21-17. I just can't take the Showboats serious just yet. Like they're gonna have to prove me wrong in a week first before I pick them, because I think that, like I said, I think the Panthers are a good team, and I don't think the Showboats are a good team. And I don't see the Panthers really messing around and losing this game. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Panthers.
I mean,
what do you think, man?
I mean, do you really even have to ask me at this point? I mean, it doesn't matter what week it is. I'm never picking the Showboats, no matter what. So Panthers, I'll say by a score. I'll say by 7, by a touchdown. Like I said, the Showboats do have something there that they could build upon. I just don't think the Panthers are a team that they might shock somebody at some point. Not sure who right now, but they might shock somebody, and that will be the darkest day of the season for me. But I do believe that they could. I just don't think the Panthers are it. I think the Panthers are very legit. And after seeing what I've seen from them so far this season, it feels like they are starting to develop their identity as a team. And if that's the case, we're looking at a Showboats team that has no identity yet. So it's very hard to compete with a team that has grown their identity when you don't have one. So always bet against the Showboats.
Coming up next, Saturday, 12:30 ABC. Battlehawks at Renegades. I think the Battlehawks are going to be annoyed. Maybe the Renegades will have their hearts broken. I don't know. I don't know which one emotionally the emotional swing is going to go to here, but I know it's an important game because you don't want to go 2-2 defenders going against the no-win Brahmas. Might be in a tough spot here. These are, like you pointed out, we're halfway almost to the season. There's going to be some important games, and this is an important battle trying to solidify your spot in that second slot in the XFL side of the playoffs. Battlehawks, Renegades. I think I'm going Battlehawks. Because despite the loss today, they still looked every bit the badass team that we have seen, and there's too many bad memories were brought back of the Renegades of old. Watching that game on Friday night. What do you got there, Tay?
I don't see the Battlehawks losing 2 in a row, so I'm gonna go Battlehawks 28-27. High scoring, close game. That's definitely my game of the week. I think it's gonna be pretty entertaining and high scoring. So 28-27 Battlehawks.
What do you got, True?
I'll agree. I gotta agree with Tay. I think it'll be a high scoring game of the week. A lot of excitement, but Battlehawks, they got to get back in the win column. So they got that.
Last game sorry about that. Second game of Saturday night, 7 p.m. down there at the Rig. This one is interesting to me. I am interested just because of what we saw this week. What we saw this week for both teams, both how stank ass the Stallions looked on Friday night, and then how the Roughnecks seemed to find a spark. Stallions at Roughnecks. Roughnecks with a chance to keep themselves in within shouting distance of that second spot. I know this is a wild situation because just last week when we were doing this, it was Birmingham on top, Roughnecks on the bottom by a lot, but hey, looked frisky. Birmingham looks like they have no idea what the hell is going on. Maybe. What do we got there, Tay?
Nah. I think you're giving the Roughnecks too much credit. Nah, it's because they played the Showboats. That's why. Okay, yep. I think you're confused. They played the Showboats, which made them look good. I don't think they will look that good against the Stallions. Like I don't know. They won't even be in this one. Nah, I don't see it. I don't see it. Like I would go like 21-8 or something like that. I'll give them a touchdown. I don't think they'll be in the game. I think the Stallions will turn it up. This will be their like first like good win.
I mean, the Stallions offense hasn't done nothing all year, and the Roughnecks defense has been good.
It has.
That's the Roughnecks Achilles heel, right? Like defense. So
I'm just saying. True. I'm assuming you're going Stallions too.
I would never. Once again, Christmas comes once a year, and that was the Roughnecks 1 win. We are good. We are very good. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't need any more lying to ourselves. We don't need to lie to ourselves. I will say 24-10. I'll be a little more. I mean, still the same distance in terms of points, but I'll give them a field goal and a touchdown, maybe. But that's it. They'll get lucky and do that, but that's it. So no Roughnecks, no win for the Roughnecks this week. I'm surprised you even made it seem like it was like a possibility. I was kind of
okay. I'll be looking good next week when we're doing this show.
I severely doubt it, but I hope so for your sake. Hope so.
The Sunday game, 5:00 down there in DC. Brahmas at Defenders. This is a little more dangerous than I would like it to be for mine and Tay's Defenders, because this really is like, go ahead and give last rites on the Brahmas season if they don't pick up this one, and everybody, the chips are going to be down. Everybody's going to be picking against them, and they looked almost like the Brahmas of old today. I think this is a dangerous matchup. DC's might be buying their own hype. They beat the two best teams. They came in there and bullied the Battlehawks in the Dome today. They're going to be feeling good about themselves. They're going to be going against a team that's fighting for their lives, and that kind of started to figure things out this week in the Brahmas. Dangerous situation. What do you think there, Tay?
Yeah, I do agree with that. Brahmas, they finally woke up and joined the rest of the teams, with playing good football. So I do see what you're saying. Like the Brahmas will make it interesting, but they will not beat the Defenders. I don't think they get the job done. I don't know. I still don't see it in the Brahmas. Still don't see it. Like, they're pretty easy to score on. That's been the common theme so far. Defenders scored 27 week 3. So yeah, I got the Defenders scoring. I got like 23-18 or something like that. Something in that range. The Brahmas will play solid, but I think the Defenders are a bit too much for the Brahmas to handle. So it's gonna be another L for the Brahmas.
Sure, what do you got?
I agree. I don't think the Brahmas are. I think they'll be as good as they were this week, but I think the Defenders will be able to kind of meet that, like meet force with force. And I think for the Brahmas, even if you're starting to figure it out, you probably need an opponent that's a little lesser than the Defenders to get that first win to get your confidence. So I think it'll be close, but I'm gonna go with the Defenders. Yeah, the Defenders. I don't want to, but I'm gonna go with the Defenders. Probably a one-score game.
Yeah, I think the Brahmas are gonna give a good accounting of themselves. They're gonna fight. They're gonna fight to survive for sure. This has been Tell Me About It from the United Football Media. Check us out every week. Check me and Tay out. DC Defenders show coming out on Fridays. It's going to be a big week here on United Football Media. The cow pasture, they got to know that the season is coming down to the nitty gritty down there in the cow pasture. Brahma Bullpen. I'm excited to see what they think of their show, of their team, of what's coming up in this DC Defenders matchup. We got our guy Noah back. I said it on DC Defenders show, and I meant it. Noah, you picked a rough week to come back, brother, because y'all had to play a real team this week, and we saw results. We saw what happened. And of course, our guy, FBI Tugboat, making things happen over there. The Panthers podcast, the Panthers sneaky sleeper, good team. Excited to see what he has to say. Roughnecks rundown with the man himself, Ace. Such a talented content provider, and I am excited for him to be excited, to have a smile on his face for just 1 week. One shining moment. It's going to be Ace this week on Roughnecks Rundown. Be on the lookout for that. I am excited for it. We should be excited about all the things we got going on here on the United Football Media. This has been Tell Me About It.